Today on the show, we will be looking forward to the All-Star Circuit of Champions season. We'll be talking with Aaron Reutzel, one of our full-time high rollers, along with a whole bunch of other stuff here on this week's edition of the High Limit Room. All right, welcome back to the High Limit Room. I am Chase Rodman, the announcer for High Limit Racing. Later on in the show, I will be joined by High Limit pit reporter, that's Tony Laporta, and we'll also be talking with Aaron Reutzel, one of our full-time high rollers in 2025. Obviously, if you are a person that really pays attention a lot to the series, you know that our last couple of races did get canceled due to weather-related issues, including the races at Vado Speedway Park, Route 66 Motor Speedway in Amarillo, Texas, and the Dodge City Raceway Park in Dodge City, Kansas, and the series has a lot of time until our next race, which kicks back off on April 30th at the Texarkana 67 Speedway in Arkansas, and that leads into a very, very busy month of May, probably the busiest month out of all of them for High Limit Racing, several races across several different racetracks and different states, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun once we get back into the season, but as of right now, we are off for the next 23 days, and that's giving a lot of our teams either some time to get their cars and engines and their teams prepared, or they might go out and try and run a couple of different races with either the World of Outlaws, maybe they'll go run Knoxville a little bit here and there, but still some time for them to get things prepared for a very, very busy month of May coming up next month. Now, also coming up this week is going to be the final episode of Dirt 2. It's episode number 5 of season 2 for the docu-series that followed around a lot of our full-time drivers from last year with the High Limit Racing series. It'll be kind of showcasing the final race of the year that happened at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. So make sure to check that out this week on FloRacing.com. It is episode number 5 of Dirt 2 Season 2 for High Limit Racing. Now, before we get into Aaron Reutzel, we did want to talk about one event that you'll be able to watch all season long, one series you'll be able to watch all season long with FloRacing. That is going to be the All-Star Circuit of Champions. They get back underway this week on Friday and Saturday at the Attica Raceway Park for their first 2-point races of the year. They have a really solid schedule put together and a great group of drivers they have assembled as well. As of right now, as of this recording, they do have 12 drivers that are confirmed for running the entire season, and I have been told by Rich Farmer, the owner of the series, that they could add some more here by the end of the week. But as of right now, the full-time list of drivers looks like this. They've got Devin Borden driving car number 45. They've got Cody Bova in the 20B, Justin Clark in the 97, Zane DeVault in the lane racing number 4, Bobby Elliott in the 5E, Caleb Henry in the running boxer farms 101, Van Gurley Jr. in the 13, Darren Nida in the 7N, also Aiden Price in the Mark Daly racing number 2MD, Brandon Spithaller in the 22, Trey Jacobs in the Rudzik excavating number 49X, and the final driver that they have assembled right now is Leighton Wagner in car number 38. So 12 full-timers, and they're going to Attica Raceway Park for 2 nights of action later on this week. As I mentioned, you can watch it all on FloRacing, and if we know anything about Ohio and about Attica Raceway Park, we know it's going to be a very, very good field of cars. Expect 30, maybe even 40 cars showing up for the season opener for the All-Star Circuit of Champions later on this week. And as we mentioned, you could watch all of that live here on FloRacing. Now, speaking of the All-Star Circuit of Champions, today on the show, since we do not have any racing coming up, we are going to be sitting down with one of our full-time high rollers, and it is a former All-Star Circuit of Champions titleist on 3 different occasions. That is, of course, Aaron Reutzel. All right, welcome back to the High Limit Room. We've got our first live guest of the year here on the show, and it is, of course, Aaron Reutzel, one of our new high rollers in 2025. Aaron, thanks for joining the show. It's great to have you on here. It's been a pretty interesting start to the season so far for you guys, with 2 wins, sitting 3rd in points after about 5 or 6 races here. Can you kind of explain how things have gone so far, you know, especially with that first race incident, but then recovering and sitting pretty good so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think our year has gone fantastic so far. Just, you know, we went to Volusia just to shake everything down. We did a lot of work in the trailer this off season, And we wanted to go race before we hit the road full time to see what was going to work and what was not going to work, and stuff like that. And those guys already had 4 nights out there, so we just wanted to go out there and kind of shake everything down and hopefully run the top 10 and go out there to be that fast and right out the get-go. And Vegas, how much speed we had there, and just can the rest of the year, just how quick we've been in qualifying and everything. It's gone great. I know how easily you can be on the other side of it where you're struggling to find speed, and you might even race really good but struggle to qualify. Qualifying means everything today. So we're in a really great situation right now, and I'm pumped.
Aaron, with what Chase alluded to, with heartbreak happening and probably a lot of other emotions, mostly pain at Las Vegas, when you get knocked out of the race before the feature even starts, your crew was vocal. I think you were concerned at the time in the hospital about what that would do to your guys' championship implications, which I think that speaks to how competitive High Limit is. That race one, you guys are already, very concerned about what you missing one single night would do to the championship. But I just kind of want to, cut through all the noise and just get your opinion on this. Despite missing that first night in Vegas and recording no points out there, and then going on the tear, you guys have gone, Chase talked about it, 2 wins already, a bunch of really strong finishes. You haven't finished worse than 12th since missing that first race in Vegas. Realistically, despite missing that first round, what are you and your team's championship hopes now that you're enjoying the speed and the success that you guys are?
I mean, you never know. It's racing, right? Brad's the best there is in the country, hands down, at points racing. He's always going to just be right there. I think bad nights for him is 5th. So it's going to be really, really hard. Anything can happen. We've seen crazier things happen. I think realistically, my goal coming into the year was to try to be around the 5th range, just, not being on the road in so long, and haven't had to have that mindset of points racing in quite a while. And yeah, realistically, that was my goal starting out the year. And now, I mean, I just want to stay in the top 3. If I run 3rd, I'll be pumped. So, yeah, like I said, anything could happen. It's a long, long year, but that's a stretch because, like I said, Brad, to me, hands down, Brad is the best points racer there is in the country right now.
No doubt. Well, Aaron, last year at the Port Royal Speedway, you were able to get a big win during the Tuscarora 50 weekend on the prelim night. In Victory Lane, you were kind of talking to Tony, and it sounded like you just really loved everything that High Limit was doing at the time. And then I think around that time, maybe we were kind of hearing some rumors that you might come and join for this year. And now, so far this year, it just seems like, I don't know, because I've known you for a long time when you were on the Outlaw Tour and whatnot, and it just seems like you're kind of a different guy right now. It just seems like you're having a lot more fun. You're a lot more laid back. You're kind of getting involved in more things, like doing these interviews with us and stuff like that. Are you feeling like a different person right now this year with High Limit? What's going on there?
I mean, yeah, I would say there's definitely some differences. I would say, I mean, without going too far into everything, one day maybe my story will come out totally, but I was burned out on racing. Even those 18, 19, and 20 years, I was completely burned out with the success we had, even just the demand, and mainly the demand of the owners and some of the sponsors that just, we were so good in 18 and 19, and then Larson comes out and destroys everyone in 2020. Well, I think we finished second to Larson. I think we finished second to him like 12 times, and we beat him a few times too. Went toe to toe with him and beat him. And I'm hearing about how bad we suck. And at this point last year we had 15 wins, and now we only have 5. And that shit wears on you when you're doing the best you can. And no one, like, you can't you can't say anything to me that I haven't already said to myself 6 inches from the mirror. So I'm already hard on myself as it is. And when you got owners doing that, and then I went from that tough environment to, which I love the guy, so I have nothing bad to say about him, but Dennis Roth, another very tough person. And I just wanted nothing. I was over it. I was over racing. I was missing a lot of time with my kids, and a lot of stress, and I go home and just still stressed about, not winning and this and that. So I honestly, when at those last few years, I just wanted nothing to do with racing anymore. I was just doing it for a paycheck. And, Brian and Lisa Ridge, honestly, the whole deal there, it was my way out of racing at that point too. I'm like, hell, here's my way out. I'm out. Well, then Brian talked me into going and having a sit down with them. And, like before you know it, we're a few beers deep. And I think that's how he got me to say yes. But so then before you know it, I'm racing for Brian and Lisa at the end of 2021. And that was the best thing that ever happened for me, my career, my life, my family. Just, it brought the joy of racing back into me. It took 3 years. I mean, it legit took 3 years, and it got the joy of like what I loved about racing from the beginning. And, I can go on and on and on there, but then nothing against the Outlaw deal, but I didn't enjoy my time on the road with the Outlaws. And I know a lot of people do, but it just wasn't for me. And from the outside looking in, and I was behind the scenes of the High Limit deal because of Corey being our teammate. So I truly got to see what was going on. And I liked everything about the High Limit deal. And I could see how much more it was, how much more they are trying to do for the drivers and for the owners. And it wasn't so much as we were just their puppets. And I love that. I loved every bit of that. And, like I say, at the end of the day, Kyle and Brad own the deal. Well, look at their car owners, Casey and Paul Silva. If Casey and Paul Silva ain't making some money off this deal or doing a little bit, they'll shut it down. So that just proves right there that Kyle and Brad are truly doing the best they can to give back to the owners as well. And I love that. I truly do, because right now I love where I'm at. And if I thought sending this team on the road wasn't the most beneficial thing for this team to allow me to race for the Ridges the longest I can, and I truly didn't think that, I would still be against it. I would still be voting for us just running Knoxville Weekly, because we run Knoxville Weekly. His entire family gets to come and watch us race, because there's 10, 15 of them that come every weekend and sit in the suite and watch. And then all the kids come down after the races, and it's a true family deal. So this team would go on another 3, 4, 5 years easily doing that. But I think the way the High Limit's structured and the way that's going, this team will carry on another 3, 4, 5 years just off of that alone. So, I love everything about it. I think I know I rambled off a little bit, but I think all that has what's probably changed my attitude a little bit and my view on racing, and definitely made me a happier person today.
Aaron, so I haven't had the time in sprint car and dirt racing that Chase has, and certainly not the time you've had in it, but I've been in it now for 4 or 5 years, and I will never forget my first real memory of you, because we've all had stuff passed around the internet about us, whether it's good, bad, true or false, it doesn't matter. The internet doesn't care, right? But the first memory I always think back of when I think of you, it was probably the 2022 Knoxville Nationals, and I was there at the autograph signing in the barn doing video work for the World of Outlaws, and I saw you sitting at the table signing, waiting for the crowd to be let in to sign autographs. And here comes, I think it might have been a woman, it might have been a man. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What matters was the shirt. And the shirt this individual had on, plain white t-shirt, big black bold letters read, "Anybody but Reutzel." And I just thought, well, that's not very nice. And in the few short months you've been on the tour with High Limit and the little bit I got to talk to you last year, I feel like anybody who doesn't like you doesn't know you. And again, you're out there competing against their favorite drivers. It's your job to beat them, and you have opinions and you state them in interviews, and that's what I like about you a lot. But I guess what I want to know is, and I'm putting you on the spot with this, but to the people who don't know you, or the people who think they know you but don't really, what don't they know about you? Because like I said, in our short time together, I've learned that you're just a guy who loves racing, you love your family, and you love winning. And I don't really know, like, you know, what the problem with that is personally. So what is stuff about you that the woman or the man or the individual with anybody but Reutzel on their shirt, what's something they don't know about you that they probably should?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people definitely have got a bad taste in their mouth of me, probably because at the races, you know, a lot of people like to bash driving styles, it seems like today. But you know, when I was at the races, back then I was super serious. I was there to win. I don't walk around the pits and be everyone's friend and stuff. Not to say I'll go have a beer and drinks with anyone afterwards and whatnot. I'm definitely outgoing and, you know, love to drink my beer. That's for sure. But, you know, during the races, I'm serious. I'm there to win. I'm there to make money. And I think a lot of people don't like that you're just not super social and stuff during your time of work. And that's probably what's gave me the worst rap, but you know, it is what it is. And then the driving style, of course, it seems like a lot of people, if you're not very social and talkative and you drive hard, well, that's a bad combination for some race fans, it seems like.
Yeah.
Aaron, we got a pretty long break right now in the high limit season, especially with a couple of cancellations there for Texas and Kansas. What is your guys' plan here over the next couple of weeks? Because we don't race again for another 23-ish days. Are you guys going to be staying busy? You're going to be kind of hanging out in the shop getting things ready for a pretty big season or pretty big May month?
We're doing a little bit of both. You know, the Outlaws are right around us, so we're going to go to Peevely. I was kind of hoping that rained out. It's Masters week, so yeah, I really wanted to just sit around and watch the Masters all week. But no, we're going to do Peevely and then the Outlaw show here at Knoxville. And then I think that next week we're just going to stay here and do the local, just the actual Knoxville openers. And then I think that's when we go back on the road.
All right, cleared up, because we haven't had a long enough time during interviews at the track, and I've heard several different versions of the mullet and the motivation behind it. I heard it was a bet with your son, or he dared you. What's with the haircut this year?
My kid did a mullet, and his is way cooler because he actually gets it permed and whatnot.
Oh wow!
So,
oh wow!
Yeah, his is cool, really cool. And I told him, how it started off as I said, I would do one if you do one. Well, he did his, and mine was starting to get to that point. And then it was at the point where I either have to keep it going or cut it. Well, then I was leaving for Australia, so I just went ahead and cut it because I didn't want to be in Australia and hate it and then have to go try and find a barber or whatever. So then he'd give me shit that I didn't do it and this and that. And so so finally I just went through with it and did it. And well, then he started on that I wasn't cool enough to have one. He started on that shit. Little punk. So I had to prove him wrong.
Nobody tells Aaron Reutzel he's not cool.
Absolutely. Especially not my damn kid.
Yeah, that's not cool. Aaron, you mentioned the Masters coming up this week. You and I have had some conversations on and off about golf here. We haven't been able to play together yet, but I know I saw a Snapchat not too long ago of you in some nice indoor golf place where you were able to basically play real golf indoors. That was cool. But going into
that was probably our shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
look.
Let's see here.
You got the indoor simulator?
Oh! Wow. That's that might be the best race shop in the country.
Chase,
with a golf simulator.
Aaron Chase is about to buy a sprint car team.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the problem is Brian's not a big fan of it.
Oh, well, I could see it being distracting a little bit.
Yeah. It definitely does make it hard to get some work done.
Absolutely. Well, who do you got for the Masters this week? I was just looking at of course, I was looking at the betting odds, and it looked like Scheffler was obviously the main guy there. But who do you think could be potentially wearing the green jacket?
I'd like to see, and I liked him before he had everyone start liking him again. I'd like to see Bryson win it personally.
Yeah, he's a big fan favorite now with his YouTube channel, man. I've been
he turned his likes around that big time. But my all-time favorite is family man Tony Finau. I'd like to see him win it and his 9 kids come running out and his entire soccer team come running out on the green to celebrate with them. That would be so cool. And actually, my favorite part of the Masters is Wednesday when they do the par 3 tournament and they take all their families out and stuff. That's fun. That's a lot of fun to watch. Bart and I are looking forward to watching that on Wednesday. There's no work being done on Wednesday. We're sitting here watching that. But that's fun too when Tony and his entire soccer team are out there playing. So that's fun to watch.
I did just see Tony did get a hole-in-one this last weekend on par 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with this Tony, because I will never get a hole-in-one. I like to sit on the cart and drink whiskey and Cokes and watch other people hit the ball. Hey, you just mentioned Bart Mann, Aaron, and when I reached out to you over the off season about your crew, you labeled them with some interesting titles. I think you listed Bart as beverage specialist on the RSR number 87. You've got Brogan, you've got Anthony Dittmer. But just whenever I go over to your car to talk to your guys, whether you're there or not, those dudes just seem like they are really happy to be out on the road and racing. And Chase kind of asked about you being back on the road and following a tour, going racing. But you've surrounded yourself with a crew of guys that seem like they're just dogs and they just want to be out there racing. And they share the mentality of you of, last night was last night. Let's go again tonight.
Yeah, that's sometimes that's 90% of the battle there. It's hard to go out on the road like this and everyone keep that attitude at times. It truly is. And I'm lucky to have Brogan, Bart, and Anthony. Brogan and Bart themselves, it's almost like they don't have a bad day. So that's a lot of a race team, believe it or not, just having, it's easy to get negative and you spend so much time with each other. I'm sure it's no different than you guys, but you spend so much time with each other when racing does get going. It's hard to keep that attitude and positivity and all that going. And when you've got a good group of people, that makes it easy to do. It seems like things just gel and work better.
Aaron, a few minutes ago, you mentioned, the team and how they could stick around for, 3, 4, 5 years if they just ran Knoxville and all that stuff. And Ryan, we know that it was a 2-car operation last year with you and Corey, and now it's a 1-car operation. I know that, back in the day, I don't know the exact specifics, but it kind of seemed like you were the main guy in charge of the 87 car, a couple years back. In Vegas, High Limit obviously unveiled that franchise system. What, as a guy that's kind of almost been in that team owner, situation before and what's going on behind the scenes with Ridge and Sun Racing, how big of a deal is that to help some teams here in the next couple of years maybe stick around and have a longer run life than maybe they, first anticipated? I think of guys like Tanner Thorson's team, right? I mean, how long was that team going to be around? But with this introduction of franchises, maybe that's something that can keep some of these teams and operations running a whole lot longer than maybe they were first anticipating.
I truly think it will. I mean, when, okay, so like, look at Shark Racing. You get it. I guess where I'm going at with that is, they stayed out on the road because of tow money. They had 2 cars. They ran a 1-car operation but raced 2 cars.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kept them out on the road all them years. And now look at them. Look at the success they have. They got big time sponsors. They won the million. Logan's been second in points, but look how many years it took them to get to that point. Well, they only did it because, like I said, they ran a 1-car team, but they ran 2 cars. I think with this deal now, you could see more people do what Shark Racing did and not just start off as a big team. Like you said, maybe the Thorson team. Tanner, obviously, like, Tanner's really, really good. He's just struggling in qualifying right now. Well, you put him 2 more years out on the road, 1 more year on the road where he gets the qualifying figured out. Maybe he gets his coils figured out. He might be a contender night in, night out every night. And I think this charter deal, you're going to see more teams turn into the bigger teams just because I think it's going to allow guys to put more years in on the road, just getting that much more money.
You guys were just talking about golf, Aaron, and I know when we were talking at Casa Grande after that weekend was over, you guys had tickets, I think, to a suite that Brian hooked y'all up with to go watch the LPGA. And Chase, that's Ladies Pro Golf Association, and that's how you know you're into golf, because you'll go catch any tournament anytime and just hang out and watch it. If there's not an LPGA tournament going on near the race we're holding that weekend, Aaron, what's something else you and the guys on the RSR team like to go do when we have those few off days? We're not going to have really any of them if you think about it, but throughout the summer, throughout the season, when we have a day off or a few days off between races, what's something else you guys like to go do and spend your time when all the maintenance is done?
We normally go play our own golf. That's normally what we do. Honestly, this group of guys, we'll go play golf, or we try to stay out of the bar as much as we can. It seems like it's pretty easy after a long day of work, just go belly up at a bar, but
yeah,
try to not do too much of that. Oh, yeah, Bart and I, for sure, we're golfing.
Yeah,
for sure, Bart and I. Dimmer, he can just go and lay around and watch Netflix or whatnot. He could take it, he could leave it. Brogan, he'll run off and do his own thing sometimes, but Bart and I, at the end of the day, we're golfing. If it's already too late, we'll go find a simulator. We'll go find a golf shop to walk around and say, oh man, if I had this new driver, I'd definitely be better. Who knows? But yeah, Bart and I were golf all the way.
Well, who wins the round between you and Bart? People need to know. Who do they put their money on?
Oh, Bart's in here, so I gotta be. It's normally me. It goes back and forth.
Way to sneak that in there.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, a lot of people don't know about you is that, well, on that team that Tony was mentioning there, you got 3 guys, but for the last couple of years, you've kind of been the main guy, right? The crew chief and the driver. And that's something that not many guys, you think of, Logan Schuart, he did it for a long time like that. Brett Marks has done it like that before. How tough is that for you to, have to balance that? And obviously you've been pretty successful at
it. It can be really tough. It's, I think the way I've got it going on now where, Bart's been with me. This is probably our 3rd year now, between Australia and him coming here and whatnot. And Bart knows everything I've got going on. So I might make the final call for sure, but I've got that where I can bounce a lot of stuff off Bart. So that makes it a lot easier, other than like when it's just say me and I bring Brian Ridge out to change tires. Where maybe I don't have that guy to bounce stuff off with anymore, and we're really bad that night. That's when it's tough. That's when it's really tough. But like right now with, like I said, just the way we're rolling and we're unloading good every night and we're not making much changes, and I've got Bart, and it's not that bad right now, but I've always struggled with, what's been a struggle for me is is I've always done it myself. So when I have had crew chiefs and we suck, I've always wanted to, what are we doing? Why are we doing it this way? And, stuff like that. So it's always kind of been a struggle for me to have a crew chief. But, I've had some good ones and we've had success, but yeah, it's, right now it's not bad, but it definitely can change quick.
I'm curious, Aaron, as someone like yourself who's gone off and done so much, ASCS national champion, 3 All-Star Circuit of Champions championship titles. You've won the Knoxville Nationals in the 360 category. Big events like the Tuscarora 50. You're obviously extremely accomplished in the sport. And you have a driving style that you talked about earlier that maybe not everybody loves. But at the end of the day, you're one of them that's out there racing. We've never done this. We don't know what it's like. How tough is the competition right now in sprint car racing as a whole with how equal it seems like everybody's stuff is? And then to throw your name in the hat of a national tour, albeit for the first time in years, like High Limit, I guess I'm just interested in what you guys are up against every single night and mentally what that challenge is like, knowing, man, we're about to get into another big fight again tonight, and you signed up for 60 nights of that.
It's tough. It's so hard. And the worst part is it's getting harder and harder. And just, you don't really see a guy. The only advantage there is right now is a guy like Brad Sweet, who's been at KKR for how long now? Well, that's their advantage, is they've got that big notebook and they've built their engine program around that and whatnot. So it's getting so much harder to where everyone has the same thing that Brad has as equipment wise. Like, we can all buy the same stuff. And, I think between the iRace and everything, kids are just getting better today too. It's not like a kid showing up and taking, 3 or 4 years to get better. Like, kids are just getting in and fast. Like, I didn't drive a sprint car till I was 19.
Wow.
And, today, hell, we went out to Vado for the 360 show last year. It was the last show we ran. And I go to the redraw, and a lot of people don't know who Rick Zeal is, but it's me, Rick Zeal, and there's like 4 15-year-olds and 2 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
I'm like, gee, I looked at Rick, I said, Jesus, I feel like I'm over here picking my kid up from school. Like, this is ridiculous. And all of them were good. They're all good little racers. And so it's only getting harder and harder to where, like I said, the competition's just, drivers are getting better faster. There's more of them. Everyone's got really good equipment. And yeah, it's like you said, with 16, but then you got our group of high limit guys, and you're not going to qualify. It just goes back to where qualifying's everything right now, because you're not going to have a bad night, have a bad qualifying night and drive up through the field in a heat race or something. So it all starts from them 2 laps because of how hard it is and how equal everyone is.
Well, Aaron, it was great to catch up with you here during a couple of weeks off from the High Limit Racing season. Hopefully, maybe some of the fans learned something new about you, and we appreciate you coming on here and talking to us.
Hey, no worries, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, that's Aaron Reutzel here on the High Limit Room. We'll see you guys next week.